I'm here today with Charlotte Wood, the author of Animal People. One of the things that redeems Stephen, if you like, and we'll come back to that term, redeem maybe, is that he does have a close friendship with his colleague, Russell, who is a subversive character. What did you want to explore through that dynamic between those two men?
Well, Russell is Stephen's boss at the zoo, and he's his ally. He's his only ally, really, in that world of what you might define as Stephen being a failure as a man in contemporary society. He's, Stephen doesn't own anything. He doesn't have a good car. He doesn't have a good job. He's got this beautiful girlfriend and her children, which is the one great thing in his life, and he's about to blow it all away by dumping his girlfriend. But so for Stephen, Russell is the one person who tells him he's all right. You know, so they have this kind of almost unspoken pact that, as long as we're here, putting shit on accountants who come along in their, Anderson Consulting Fun Run T-shirt, and they sort of look at middle class family life as captivity, and they sort of, they can be sarcastic about it, and they can sort of frame their own lives as this great freedom, when of course it isn't. And then there's, it's kind of tragic for Stephen on this day because Russell gives him some news that changes that completely and isolates Stephen even more.
But I was very relieved when Russell came along in the book, because I have to say that at that point, up to that point, I was thinking to myself, God, is this guy a misanthrope? Does he hate society? Does he hate humankind? He doesn't seem to be able to relate to anybody. And so I wanted to ask you that. I wanted to ask you, is he some kind of misanthrope? He doesn't hate them. Okay, he doesn't hate them, but he doesn't relate. He doesn't connect.
No, he's kind of, he feels sorry for people, in a way that is kind of ludicrous, because really, and what he comes to understand through the book is he's the one that people should feel sorry for. But I think he's evasive, and he doesn't think very hard about what things mean in his life. But he does sort of sneer at some people.
He does.
Some people might say, the author might sneer at some people, but he's kind. When he gets sort of trapped by the animal liberationist woman who needs money, the charitable donation thing, he feels trapped, but he also wants her to like him. I mean, he wants people to like him. He doesn't, and he, there's a woman who sells a big issue magazine near his house, and he feels quite protective of her, but in a slightly patronising way that, he doesn't realise that's what he's doing. But
were you worried at any point when you were writing the book, though, about whether or not he was a sympathetic enough character for readers to want to continue the journey with him? Because I know you and I have had this conversation, and this conversation is out there, I think, amongst readers and writers a lot, about whether it's important to like a character in order to stay with the book.
Yeah, well, I find this a really interesting question, because as a reader, I don't necessarily have to like a character. And I've been thinking about this because it is coming up, people saying, but he's not that likable. Well, for a start, I love him, so I think he is likable. But, and probably because I am him, he's full of weakness, he's full of sort of human failings. But I like books where characters are like that. And I was thinking about, one of my favourite books is The Solid Mandala, Patrick White's, with, I think it's Waldo. He's a really, quite despicable character in many ways, but he's just human,
Well, I think it's that. If you can succeed in showing the complexity and the humanity of a flawed individual, then we can have compassion for them.
But also, I read to find out how to live, and I write to find out how to live. And I feel that you know, if a character is a strong, noble, well-behaved,
you can't relate to them.
I can't relate to them, and I'm not really interested in them. They're not interesting to me. I mean, I was interested to read recently Lionel Shriver writing in the paper and having, you know, probably slightly at this stage unnecessary dig at her former agent who said of the mother in We Need to Talk About Kevin that, look, this character's so ghastly and no one can like her, so therefore it will never succeed as a book. And, you know, she had a little gratuitous ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But I think many books that people have really wildly responded to are full of very deeply flawed characters. That's not a reason to, you know, I don't want to write a book to write a flawed character to, you know, to get that sort of response. But I do think something where, to me, a character comes alive when they are flawed.